Hey guys, what's going on? We're going to do a weekly NAT update. My name's Adam, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And alright, let's get started with an NAT update. Okay, so over the week, NAT is up a modest 1.5% right now as of recording this video. However, on the month, NAT is up by almost 8%. So I'm just going to talk about, why NAT is rallying a bit, why it's up 8% over the month. And so first, let's get started with one assumption is, okay, so they're recording their second quarter dividend on August 28th to be paid out on September 4th. So maybe some people are trying to get in before the dividend in order to get that 20-cent dividend per share, because that's pretty lucrative, especially at a stock price of, right now it's like $4.30 per share. So one idea is that they try to get it, get into the stock before the dividend payment date, dividend record date. And again, this is an increase in the dividend from last quarter, which was only 14 cents per share. Okay. Second piece of news is if we look at the weekly tanker update, the spot rate for their Suezmax vessels is up week over week by over 10%. So in order for companies to put oil on their ships, it now costs, instead of 12,400 last week, to 14,000 this week. Well, of course, NAT contracts out their Suezmax vessels well in advance, and generally they already booked most of their second and third quarter, third quarter vessels at a certain price, which is well above this 14,000. But again, that's another piece of good news. And again, coming into the winter months, it's just expected to increase the spot rates. And then this, surplus in the spot rates was really what made tanker stocks increase drastically in the first place. Was that as inventories rose because demand for oil decreased drastically, tankers were allowed to charge exorbitant rates, right? So right now, the amount that they're making right here is like breadcrumbs compared to the amount that they were making in April. So that's one piece of news. The other piece of news is basically right now that OPEC is going to open their taps and increase the supply of oil, okay? And I mean, so first of all, let's read this here. So the planned output increase from OPEC alliance, et cetera, is forecast to push supply to 91.2 million barrels per day in August, 92.5 million barrels per day in September, 92.9 in October, 93.3 in November, and then 93.4 in December. Okay, so OPEC is going to increase production of oil, which will increase inventories if demand stays the same. And I mean, demand picked up as sort of the pandemic receded, but then found out quickly that demand for oil receded as sort of the pandemic second wave hit, right? So again, this will all depend on how much demand OPEC projects. But again, if the demand stays the same and they're going to increase the amount of oil they're going to produce, that's going to increase inventories, increase the demand for the oil tankers and floating storage, as what they call it, and that will shoot NAT's spot rates up for their Suezmax fleets. Okay, so again, I see that as a piece of good news, and that could contribute to the 8% rally we've seen over the past month, right? OPEC increasing production. Okay, this is just another really cool chart showing. So this here average is the demand for oil, and then the surplus of oil for 2020, which is forecasted, and 2021. So as we can see, people or companies are vastly overproducing oil for the current demand, right? And that's expected to continue into 2021. So again, surplus is just expected to increase, right? Again, good piece of news for NAT, right? One other thing is I just want to touch on GDP. So GDP in the States for the second quarter collapsed at a 32.9 annualized rate, the deepest decline in output since the government started keeping records in 1947. So that's insane. Deepest decline, 32.9%, and we can see a graph right here. So I'm kind of obstructing the view here, but as we can see, this steep decline in gross domestic product in the second quarter of quarter two 2020 makes the Great Recession look like a joke, in 2008, right? Like, look at this. That is insane, right? And okay, how is this going to affect NAT? Well, it's, really difficult to tell. And I mean, I think it may be good news because, again, if GDP is still low, that means, again, demand for oil will generally be low, again, as airplanes aren't flying, people aren't really going on vacation, aren't taking cruises. So again, that might be good news as inventories rise, especially as OPEC is going to increase production, um, and floating storage will just increase, right? And they'll be able to charge more. Um, so again, just more news saying OPEC is expected to, OPEC first of all projects oil demand to exceed pre-virus levels in 2021. Again, this is just like long-term forecast, but still, I think there's a lot of money to be made from NAT. Making their cash machines go before the oil demand, actually comes back to pre-pandemic levels. Okay, and as we can see, a final update is the spot rates for the 28th, I believe. Yeah, Tuesday, July 28th was 13,600 for Suzax vessels. And then the day after, on the 29th, it was 12,600 per day. And then yesterday, it was 12,500. So you can see sort of even the 10-day trend here. Right here, you can see sort of a decline after this, rapid peak. It went from like 10,000 to like 19,000. The spot rate like day over day, but then it sort of declined steadily, but it's now like flattening out. But as you can see, since the weekly average was 14,000, maybe today was again an increase in the spot price, but we'll just have to see. I haven't received the daily briefing yet. I mean, you can also subscribe to Potent and Partners Daily Briefing, and once you do this, you can get an email, and that will tell you exactly what the spot price is for these different carriers each day, okay, and plus different information on oil and currencies. So it's really cool, and plus like the related related articles. Okay, so yeah, that's all I have for you today. I'm still holding my NAT stock, at least for probably the next 1 or 2 years, because again, I expect some great dividends to be paid out. I expect their quarterly results, which they're going to be posted on August 17 before the stock exchange opening in New York. So I'm really excited for the second quarter results. I'm definitely going to be doing a video on that, so keep up to date there. Again, if you like this video, please subscribe, and thanks for viewing, and have a fantastic Friday.